In this video, I'm going to try to answer the question of one of the subscribers. He was asking basically, what do I do if there's no spring? And sometimes I'm guessing he felt left out of the move afterwards because he saw the pattern of accumulation, but it didn't do a spring, so he wasn't able to time an entry. So this is a problem that I face all the time as well, and I want to try to answer that in this video. So this is a trade that I call on TradingView. This is pretty old, but it's exactly the same situation. Basically, I was here. This was something that I actually posted, and we can see what happened after. But I was in this question mark zone where I was like, and this is the comment, I was like, I believe we are in a Wyckoff accumulation phase on the pair. I'm not sure, however, if we're in a type 1 or 2. Type 1 would suggest another rundown to break the previous two lows, like making the spring, to get the stops out before making a move to the upside. Type 2 would simply make a higher low and form a head and shoulder pattern and break up. So what I mean by that is that there are several reversal patterns. You can trade double tops, double bottoms, triple tops, triple bottoms. You can trade the three drives to a top or to a bottom. You can trade the Wyckoff accumulation and distribution pattern. You can trade the wolf wave. These are all reversal patterns, and they all behave a little bit similarly in the fact that most of these that I named have three waves near the bottom. So they're very similar, and I trade them accordingly. But in the case of the head and shoulder pattern, you don't have that spring, that kind of shift in the supply and demand that gives you that confirmation that something is brewing here because they're getting the stops out. So here I was in the middle of the two. So what I do often when I trace the Wyckoff is I trace two lines on the top where I try to get, like here I got this high here and I got this high, and then I made two lines, and that's my resistance zone, and usually it's in that zone that the SOS is going to occur. The second thing that I do is I trace a line with the first bottom and the second bottom, especially if they're if the second one is lower, and this gives me an idea of approximately where the spring is going to be if it does a spring. But at this point, I try not to be too picky. Like, I'm not waiting for a spring, and I'm just waiting for a confirmation. And the way to do this, I didn't do it in this example because I kind of do it by eye here, but here, if you have a line between these stops, it makes a neckline for a head and shoulder pattern. So in case it doesn't do a spring, you can always trace a line almost to with the tops here and make a neckline. You can trade off of that breakout. The other thing that you can do is you can buy the SOS in that zone. So you can place an order here and in here. You don't have to be too picky here. You see the little purple, not purple, pink line here. That's another entry that you can have. So you wait for the accumulation here at the top, and then you long at that point. So that's two ways you can trade the schematic number 2 or the head and shoulder, however you want to call it. There's a lot of similarities between them. So you see here, you don't see the high in this chart, but in the back here there was another high, so I took that and I took the current low, and then the 618 was going to be my target, which was the red line. So if we see what happened after, it straight went to the spring that I had projected with that line over there. And then you can go onto an intraday time frame. Like there was a double bottom. If you would have went on a smaller time frame, I can see it here on the 4 hours, so it would have been very, very obvious on a smaller time frame, like the 15-minute or the 5 minutes. And then you can trade the breakout of that, because that confirms that there was a spring, and then you take the reversal pattern on a smaller time frame to get in, and then you can wait for the penetration inside of back of the range, and then the test, and that's another opportunity to enter. And then the last one is when it does the kind of SOS and breaks out of that. And you see here it went and touched the 618 right on the nose. So that's a little bit how I see the entries on these type of reversal patterns, because they all have similarities, and sometimes I could call one another, like a 3 drive to a top or bottom is the most similar to the Wyckoff schematic number 1, for instance. But you can always find points of entries if you look for trend lines and breakouts, and especially when it does a test afterwards. So I hope that was helpful. Please give it a like to the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.